We're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the How to Build a Team podcast with Pam and David. We've got another great guest with us today. I'm going to let Pam do the introduction to him, but it's great to have a fellow Canadian on the show. We definitely don't have enough Canadians on here, so we've got to keep working on that. But Pam, if you would please introduce our guest for today.
Yes, so welcome again here on our How to Build a Team podcast and live show here on all of our social media. We're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube. So we're happy to have this person come on board and just share the stage with us. He reached out to me and he's been here. He visited the Philippines quite a lot. He's been to places that I haven't been to, so that's interesting. And I'm happy for him to explore and visit the Philippines. And so I'm happy to have John Vong. Welcome, John Vong. John started his career in sales and found he loved working directly with small business owners. That's what inspired him to start Local SEO Search. Today, he helps his clients grow their business and rank on Google. Welcome aboard, John.
Thank you for having me, Pam and David. I'm excited to talk to you guys and your audience members a little bit about SEO and Google My Business.
Right. So why don't you tell us about yourself? How did you start Local SEO Search and why did you started this business?
Okay, so I started this agency back in 2013 without much technical knowledge about what SEO really was all about. What I was really intrigued about was helping business owners get found. And for me, that was more important to me because 5 years prior, I was working at Yellow Pages. I was there for over 5 years. And at that time, a lot of these business owners were just frustrated, spending a lot of money and not getting a good ROI, return on investment. And near the end, as you know, Google kind of started taking off. Users started gravitating towards more internet searches versus directory-based, printed or traditional media. And that's where I discovered that they wanted to try someone different or move away from traditional media to more digital, but they didn't know who to trust, who to turn to, and what really it was all about. So that's where I came in. And because I did work with thousands of local mom and pop, small, medium-sized business owners, that's where I found my comfort zone in dealing with really strong core business, savvy business owners that wanted just someone that they could turn to more for their digital presence.
Yeah, offline we were talking about, why is it important to have Google My Business? And, my understanding is that if you have a business, then you must be in Google. If you want to be found, then you must have set up a Google My Business, which we did. But learning from you as an expert, you mentioned a very important information. You shared this information with us. Why don't we talk about that? If you are into a brick and mortar business, how important it is to have, set up a Google My Business, and how does it affect a business that doesn't have a physical office?
Definitely. So these are really good points because, as you know, more and more people are residing on Google when they're searching for businesses. Traditionally, it was Yellow Pages as the go-to trusted source as a resource tool. But fast forward to maybe 10 years ago, it kind of shifted away from traditional media to now Google. And there is a lot of other options, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to when people are ready to buy or any stage of that journey, when someone's looking or doing some information gathering, they tend to trust Google. And there are different options on Google. There's paid at the top. There's the map or the Google My Business Local 3-pack. And below that is the organic rankings of Google. And for a business owner, it's pretty much a online digital shopping experience, right? A website is now their storefront, right? A bricks and mortar storefront. So that's where people start their search. They want to see if you're credible and you're actually updating yourself and you're authoritative. You actually know what you're talking about. Because as a savvy user today, everyone's now spending more time than ever doing searches on Google or doing research in the internet, right? And it might not even be on search right away. It could be on social media. It could be on YouTube videos. It could be on whatever blog site, right? They're consuming more information via different sources of content, written, audio, video, images. But you have to understand who your ideal customers are and how they consume content. But with Google My Business, it's all about positioning yourself as the leader in your local market for the product or service that you're trying to get known for, right? As an expert. So just to give you an example, we deal with a lot of like dentists or lawyers or plumbers. They want to be known in their local market as the expert, the go-to authoritative figure. And that's what we do. We help them position themselves once they already know how to run a really good business to optimize and really dominate their local niche.
I see. When I was working at a digital marketing agency, we would get some clients in the US and they will be like, we need to set up a Google My Business. And we're like, all right, we need your address. And they were like, well, because there are 3 of us in the company and we don't have an office really because our office is our homes. So how do you help this type of clients that are in the digital world and they don't have really a physical office, which is their home address? And sometimes there are some clients that would say, I don't want to put my address out there because it's my home address. And is that will that affect your business in terms of being found on Google? Or if you don't have that physical address, which is, my understanding is that if you have this brick and mortar business, Google My Business is more effective to those type of businesses than having a digital business or a virtual business. I'm putting a lot of questions here, but let me rephrase my question. Is it important to really have that business, or you can go to Regius and get that virtual address?
Yeah.
Will it affect you or not?
Yeah, I'll answer in multiple parts.
Yes, please.
So if you are a service type of business that you're working out of your home, and you don't want that address to be displayed, which are the plumbers, the HVACs, the duct cleaners, the heating, furnace, AC guys, right? What you can do is claim it. You have to verify it somehow. Google has to ensure that you're a legitimate business. They got to send a postcard, verify it. Yeah. And then with that verification, once you can go in and log in, you can actually hide your address. And then you can actually stipulate which areas or cities or radius that you can actually service, right? So there's ways around it so that people don't start showing up at your home, right?
Right.
But the whole purpose is to verify and own your Google My Business page, because with that, then you can optimize it and try to start getting some organic lift in traffic, right? So by optimizing, what I mean by that is completing every field on the Google My Business page and keep it consistent across all channels, right? Optimize it so that people understand that you're in this category. You actually service these areas, you service these service requests, like different product lines or service this that you offer. But it's all about like the same SEO rules apply for Google My Business as well. It's all about ensuring that you're a trusted source, getting good reviews and reputation, getting some citation and directory links, getting some outbound links, and discussions in your local relevant area, as well as are you doing things to position yourself as a leader, right? What is it
Right.
that you're doing? So ultimately, it's all about running a really good business and transitioning that good business to digital so that more people can actually learn about your product and service.
Right. Okay.
The bottom line here is you have to be consistent. Sorry, babe, to cut you off. The bottom line here is to be consistent. If you're gonna put an information in Google My Business and your address will be, for example, Abbotsford, Canada, and then your website is saying your address is in Vancouver, or a different address, then it's confusing. You have to really be consistent and get all your information correct, and all sync together. Babe, you're gonna say something.
You sort of had my question there, but I'm just going to take it a little further. A lot of people live, working from home, virtual type business. They live in a suburb area. Maybe they're an hour or 2 hours outside of the big core area. So somewhere on the outskirts of the GTA or someplace in the Fraser Valley for the West Coast. But they live in Abbotsford or Chilliwack as an example, but they want their business to be more focused on the metro area of Vancouver, Burnaby. Is there a way around that with Google My Business where you can be in one place and have a mailing address in that one place, but still show up, have your website showing, Vancouver or Toronto, and be able to work that? Is there a workaround with Google My Business, I guess is the question? Or would you need to find somebody with a physical address in Vancouver that you could send the postcard to and get the code?
So my suggestion is you work where you reside, because people are paying heavy rents for, say, Toronto or Vancouver, right? So they should be getting more of the lift because they are paying that extremely high rent, right? Either storefront or whatnot. My suggestion is, I get where a lot of these service-based companies, they say, look, I got a huge budget. I want to grow and scale my business, and I want to hit 5 different regions, but I don't have physical locations in each, right? How do I go about doing it? So Google My Business is all about claiming one physical location, unless you are like a larger corporation where you have multiple physical locations.
Right.
But it's all about making sure that it's consistent and it's legal as well, because what happens is it's like spamming, right? And if you are triggered as a spammer and you're doing things that are illegal, is it worth the risk? Especially if you've been in business for 5 or 10 years, to try to grow at a really fast scale. Anyone can kind of spam and trick the system, right? But if you're trying to legitimize yourself, I say play by the rules, which is claim that one physical Google My Business page, but put up a lot of service-based areas within your website so that you can start optimizing organically, not just on Google My Business on the maps, but organic, to generate some organic traffic that way.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And it's the reason I asked this question is a lot of the clients that we work with traditionally are in the virtual space, where they happen to live in X city, but their market may be someplace completely different. So just trying to come up with ideas on how they can best use Google services in order to promote their business. So that makes a lot of sense.
And even if you are going to a Regis or a co-shared office space, you can pay a couple $100 a month, which is a lot less than a bricks and mortar rental, right? The challenge is if Google actually comes in and audits you, especially if you put those set hours and you're not there, then you're trying to trick. You're trying to trick Google out, and it's actually really bad for user experience, because ultimately what you're trying to do is, trick the system or abuse the system. And I think a lot of people are trying to get ahead that way. But I always tell business owners, like, you either play the long road and do things ethically, or, there's always shortcuts to everything in life, right? But is it really worth the risk?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So best practice would be if you don't want traffic coming to your home, You're not having clients physically or customers physically coming to your address. Register your Google My Business where you live, get the postcard, get the code, and then you said you can, in Google My Business, you can mask your address so that it's not going to display that you live at apartment 610 at 123 Main Street. So you have disgruntled people showing up on your door, but it'll show up as your greater community. So it's the town that you live in, as opposed to a pin right on the map to where you live.
Exactly. And I get where you're coming from, because even myself as an SEO agency, we don't just service Toronto, right? We service all across Canada, North America, anywhere really. But for Google Maps, that's the only place that we can actually have a pin, right? Because that's our physical location, which if you're going to play by the rules, you play by the rules, right? Versus there's other ways to market yourself, and that might be the organic section on Google, or there's paid media. So there's Google ads, there's Facebook ads, there's YouTube ads, there's Instagram, there's other forms of media. But with Google, that's the only way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, and if you have a business and you know that you want to scale, and you are already scaling, you want to be found, because a lot of right now people are into digital, and if you can't be found by Google, then what's the use of you operating a business if no one can see you, right? If no one can find you. So this is just one piece of you wanting to be found on Google. And SEO is such it's a very interesting topic. We can talk about it all day on what are the best practices so that you can be found by Google. But this is just one piece of the puzzle, right, John? And what are the other things that a business owner can do aside from having a Google My Business? In my opinion, before you answer my question, if you don't know what SEO is, if you don't know what Google My Business is, don't meddle this yourself. Don't try to tinker and, okay, it says here, put my address, put the time, put my phone number. If you don't have any idea how this works, hire somebody, hire an expert, hire someone like John who can explain things to you, and help you and guide you on how you can do this right and play by the rules. So going back to my question, what are the other things that you can do by not just by having a Google My Business? What are the other things that you can do in terms of having an organic SEO to help you be found on Google?
Yeah, so these are really good questions, because end of the day, Google, there's over 200 plus factors to ranking a website. And as you know, there's millions, if not billions of websites that you're competing with on every single keyword imaginable, right? So if you think about yourself, to position yourself as an expert, there's probably hundreds of thousands other people doing what you're trying to do as well, right? On a global scale. So what do you have to do? You have to position yourself as a leader or expert in your domain, but really hyper focus. That's how you get around this whole search engine space, because if you can specialize in a region, localize, dominate that local space, and then expand more of a regional and then national or international, it's a lot easier that way, because then you're already starting to grow your business, right? People think they want to dominate everything right off the bat, and they go the opposite direction, right? Because they get frustrated and they get burnt out, right? And especially when they can't get quick results. So that's why I focus on local first. And just like your example, there's a lot of service-based companies that want to hit up like the whole province, for instance, right? Like a plumber that wants to hit every single city in BC, right? And I always say, let's dominate your local market. Let's, dominate Vancouver, and then grow and expand outwards, so that more and more people will then see all your great reviews, reputation. They see Google knows that it's a natural progression versus, something that's very spamish and not natural. That's where you get into a lot of trouble, right?
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. Just a little shifting gear kind of question. We've been talking all about Google. How relevant are the other major search engines like Bing? I was listening to a podcast in the last couple of weeks where the marketer was focusing on Bing as opposed to Google, because every Microsoft device, every computer running Windows and every device running Microsoft, if there's any people still left doing that, the default search engine for all of those Windows computers is Bing, not Google. You have to physically make that change. How relevant is Bing? And does Bing have a similar offering like the Google My Business?
Yeah, Bing has a maps. Yahoo has their own map as well. The only thing is, if 90+% of the population is using, Google, you want to play where everyone's searching. Or it's very similar to like Yellow Pages back in the day, right? It was the monopoly directory. And if you wanted, you can also go into these other no-name can pages or other directories that were not as popular to get a smaller market share. But if you're the only game in town, then you might dominate that space, right? So you have to look at it into pros and cons and see where you want to fit. Because end of the day, it's all about users' behavior. And if more users are gravitating towards Google versus Bing, and if you're going to have an X amount of budget and time, right, where are you going to put most of your efforts, right, to get the most results? And this is not just search engines. It's all about a complete media mix. Because we always look, there's radio, television, there's trade shows, there's magazine, newspaper, flyers, traditional, right? Then there's billboards and creatives. But then digitally, there's email, there's social, there's video, there's podcast, there's affiliate. There's so many different ways digitally that you can actually get in front of more audience members, right? And it's much more affordable today than ever to actually go digital because it's more real time. You can test things at a fraction of the cost without waiting for things to get published and printed and distributed, right?
Yeah.
So today's world with technology so advanced, like our smartphones are so much more powerful than a laptop 5 years ago.
Right.
Absolutely.
And there's so many other software and tools and research SaaS companies that can actually help you scale and elevate different components of your business, from content to creative to strategy to keywords to you name it. There's so much out there that can really help you if you're looking for help. But you have to understand where the gaps are, where you can hire people, and where you can improve your processes, right?
Yeah. You mentioned about Google reviews. How important it is for a business owner to have Google reviews? What if they are just starting out and they don't have any solid clients yet who can write a Google review? What they can do about that?
Yeah. So Google reviews is very similar to like running a really good business that relies on referrals or word of mouth, right? Google is going to give you more, relevance and more ranking when you're more credible of a business. Let it be a big brand or a local retail outlet that actually is known in the community, right? You sponsor a lot of hockey teams and baseball teams, and you get good, loyal customers that are willing to write reviews. So they're more established. And yes, there are people that are always popping up as new entrepreneurs, but again, how many entrepreneurs actually get past the first year and then be able to grow a business or run a business successfully, right? So Google's always vetting them as well to really position the ones that actually know how to run a good business and are getting good reputation, right? So I get where you're coming from starting off, but it's all about like traditional businesses. It was not 1 or 2 year businesses that survived. It was generational businesses that survived. So even with technology today, there's a lot of social media ads that come out saying you're going to make $100,000 in a week or in a month, right? It's bait and switch. And the mindset of that new entrepreneur is like, I'm a side hustler. I can do it. but do they have any business experience? Do they even know what it means to run a business, or how do they run an operational end of things? What is their service level? Do they price it well? Do they take care of the clients? Like all these other fundamental things on how to run a good business, do they even know how to? So that's why Google is trying to reward the ones that actually know how to run a business and have a good, solid reputation. And it might not just be on Google My Business. It could be on third-party reviews like RateMD for health sites. It could be Home Stars for home renovation sites. Like you got to look at your industry to see where reviews should be happening, right?
And Google can get all of this information, right? And that will also help you rank, go up in the search.
So you have to think about the user. They're going to check your website out first off. Then they're going to check out your blogs, your services, and then they're going to check out your social pages and then reviews as well, right? Case studies. So today's users, your customers, they're so savvy that by the time they send an information request or a call to you, they know more than you think they know. They've already vetted you, right?
Now. We have a client that we onboarded a few weeks ago, and she said, I looked at your website. I did my research. I'm like, okay, good. You did your assignment. I mean, I guess, when you are starting your business, or when you have your business and you haven't done any of these things yet, what are the things that you need to think about? Like maybe the top 5 in the list that you need to work on first, so that you have that thing. I am the go-to expert in my industry, because with us, we made sure that our website looks professional. There is a user. There is a journey that we take our audience to. They know the pain points. They can see their pain points on our website. What is the solution that we are offering? That kind of stuff. We've got testimonial. We've put the Google review there, and other reviews that we're getting from our clients. We put it on our website. So you have to position yourself, like what you said, Sean. You have to position yourself as a leader, as an expert in your field, and do all this the significant steps, or the relevant steps that you have to make, so that you will be found on Google and any other search engines. Because your clients, the audience, are very smart now. They're going to do their research. And if they don't see that you are credible enough to help them solve their problem, then you might not get these clients yourself. So my next question, John, is what are the first few steps to make when you have a business, in terms of optimizing your website, optimizing what you already have, so that people are searching and they will find you?
Yes. So these are great questions. I always let people understand that SEO will not replace a bad business owner. What I mean by that is, if you already have bad reviews and you don't know how to run a business, I cannot help you and change that for you, right? But I can help someone that is already knowing how to run a business, someone that's been in it for 2, 3, 5 years, that has real solid experience, has real reviews, that knows how to take care of a customer, that has been growing and looking at scaling their business. That's the difference of someone that's asking the right questions. Because early days, when I first started the company, I was taking on any client that I can, right? But as I matured and I understood who my ideal customer is, and that's one thing I always ask clients today, where if you can pinpoint your 5 or 10 best clients, which is lifetime value, someone that will always refer you business, what is that profile looking like, right? What's their age, demographics, where do they shop, how much are they earning? Like, profile them, right? That is what you write on your website about too, right? That's your customer that you're writing the entire piece of website to, that audience. And once you can refine that even further with the exact type of services and products that you're trying to offer to cater towards them, and you know your highest ticket value item, you know what gets them in, like the cost of acquiring a customer, all these things are only once you know how to run a business and you've been in it for a couple of years, that you can then answer these questions. Because someone that's brand new, that doesn't know anything about how to run a business, let alone a paying customer, right? They don't even know what a customer looks like. How can I help you in any way, right? So that's number one, like the journey of that customer. And then of course, writing content to position yourself as an expert, right? So you should know what you're talking about, and then position it so that when people are actually reading the information, you're speaking to them, but it also amplifies you and positions you as an expert. So there should be well-researched information depth on that site, so that you're either updating on a regular basis, there's new statistics or something to position yourself as an expert, and you got to keep that consistent, right? And then of course, optimizing every component of it, right? And letting other people know about it. So of course, there's the social aspects, the reviews and reputation, and then the links aspect as well, which is getting other people to link back to you, because that's a signal for Google to recognize that you're actually doing everything you can as a business owner to get your name out there. And it's hard enough to get a link from a customer or from anyone, let alone a relevant, niche specific, industry specific expert, like an association or a trade, board of trade or whatever it may be.
Well,
Oh
that's
my
great.
gosh, John, that is so, nuggets, and what the information that you gave us are really amazing. I've been writing down notes when it's just you on the screen. I've been writing down notes because this is so much. So it's very helpful for those people who are listening to us, the business owners who are starting out and or already have a business but are not doing these things. And the most important thing that you mentioned is that you really have to know who your target audience is, because that is like your foundation, that is the core of your business. If you don't know who your target market is, then the messaging will be off. You don't know how to position yourself. If you want to be the go-to expert, the leader that you want to be in your industry, but you don't know who your target market is, then that's not going to reflect on what you do and the service or the product that you are offering to your target audience. So that is really the number one thing. And that is also what we are telling our clients and prospect clients who come to us and asking for help. I'm like, so who are you serving to? And then we're going to have this exercise and they're like, I'm going to ask questions. And they're like, actually, I don't know. So we're like, so how can we help you if you yourself don't know who your target audience is? So the bottom line there is, as a business owner, you really have to do some studying before you produce, before you create a product or a service. You really need to know what solution or what problem are you solving, and who do you want to cater this services or products to. So that is very important. um, this is amazing. I mean, I'm loving this episode because it's really an information that our audience can help. Baby, before I continue with what I want to say, you've got something there before you lose your train of thought.
My train of thought leaves the station without me. No, I just wanted to reiterate what you had just said, that where John, where you're saying you have to know, we call it your avatar, your client avatar. Who is your perfect client? And I like how you phrase that you write your website as if you're speaking directly to that person. And I did a presentation. I was invited to do a presentation on marketing and getting started on stuff a couple of weeks ago. And it was all around knowing who your target client is. And one of the things that I put in there, the very first statement in my presentation is, if you don't know who your customer is, every dollar you spend in marketing and advertising is completely wasted. It's like putting an ad on Yellow Pages without being in a category. It's you're there, but nobody's going to find you because the people that you want aren't even going to come close to searching for where you're at. And it's I like, what do they call that, confirmation bias? When you think something and then a professional agrees with you, it becomes really good. So you are my confirmation bias today.
Well, the interesting thing is, because I work with thousands of small business owners at Yellow Pages, and one thing I always try to do is probe them, right? Ask the right questions and understand where they're coming from and who they're speaking to. Because in an ad format, it was once a year. And if you didn't put together a really good piece of content piece or an ad, you're missing out an entire year of potential customers
a long time to fix that.
To you. So if you know their pain points, you have that avatar and you speak directly to them and you're answering every single specific detail of what they're looking for, then you have the best opportunity to even convert them, right? And that's the thing that transitions to digital now, right? Like, as much as you can put ads on social, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and whatnot, right? The whole point is capturing people at the right time, at the right moment, with the right message, in hopes that they will then trigger enough to actually click on your ad and then reach out and read more, right? Because that's advertising for you. But when it comes to SEO, it's all about positioning yourself as a leader. So it's more inbound leads versus outbound leads. And I refer this to more renting space versus owning space. And with Yellow Pages, it was more of a pull strategy versus a push strategy in terms of ads. And, you know, digital marketing, I mean, there's so many different forms, but with search, Google, I feel, is still the only pull type of strategy, right? Unless you own your database of emails, right? It's a lot easier. But when you are trying to position yourself, people are still in control when they're seeking you out, either traditionally Yellow Pages or on Google, right? There's paid, but there's organic. So if you're able to position yourself as an expert and they vet you and, you know, they like what they see, you're much more earning that. And it's a great way to get a lot of quality leads because you're not pushing stuff at people. They want to be in control and you want to position yourself as a leader.
Yeah. Do the basic first. Build that foundation first before you can spread your wings and go to each different avenues, right? I want to ask you your opinion on this. Let me put him on the screen. From Chris Reyes, he said, as for review platforms, for me, eBay is still fair. Not the best, but fair as they can. Regulate the reviews, remove it if it's unfair, and will remove any defect caused by that review. Google is good, but they don't have strict enforcement on unfair reviews left. As per experience, a customer can still leave a review even after 1 year of purchase from you. Better have a safety net on review platforms to also protect the reputation of your business. What can you say about that?
Yeah, so reputation is very critical in every single business, right? My suggestion is make it a habit and make it best practice for you to start that process of garnishing as many reviews on as many third-party sites as possible, not just on Google, but if you're a product like eBay, Amazon, and other sites out there, if you're a service, then you got to figure out where people are looking for your services, right? And because that one negative review will bring you down if you only have that one negative review. But if you have already 10 5-star reviews, that one doesn't really affect you as much. So get in the habit of start getting more reviews if you haven't already. And look at what the industry is looking like in your competitive landscape, right? So if you're a plumber and everyone else has 100 reviews, you better get your act together and start getting more solid reviews if you only have 5, right? So it's all about like play in your space, understand who your competitors are, and try to do similar activities to ensure that if anything happens, at least you are in the same playing field as them.
Yeah, that reminds me of we're doing that, we started, asking our clients to give us a review. But before that, as a busy business owner, we're kind of like forgetting about that. But as we progress, I do understand how important it is. But sometimes you do forget. But that is a good reminder. I mean, that is correct. If you've got 100 reviews and 5 people give you 1 star and, bad reviews, it doesn't matter because Google will still recognize those 95 reviews as 5 star or 4 stars. So yeah, that's a good reminder. Before we wrap things up, John, I know we can talk all day about SEO. It is the first skill that I learned when I started my career here in the digital space. I started doing SEO stuff. That's why it's very interesting when you reached out to me and I'm like, okay, this is good. I've got somebody to talk about SEO as well. I still understand how it works. Before we wrap things up, before I forget as well, last one question. We understand as entrepreneur or business owners, they want to see results right away. And I would tell them that SEO, when you're doing organic SEO, it's not like an ad that you see the result after 2 weeks. You've got data already. Like, you have a baseline that, all right, this isn't working, we're going to tweak it. But with organic SEO, it takes a while. And the minimum, correct me if I'm wrong, the minimum result that you can see is 6 months. If you are putting out a consistent content, new contents, unique contents every day, every week, then that will, lessen that duration of time wherein you can see the result already. But what is the minimum or average time that you can see result when you do organic? Let's say you don't have a budget to put an ad. It's expensive. You are in a shoestring budget, so you're doing organic SEO. What is the minimum time to see the results?
Yeah, so I get this question a couple times a day. And of course, it's how much is it and how fast can you deliver? And is there guarantees, right? You get this as an ad agency all the day long. My thing is, I've seen clients rank after a month. I've seen clients take 3 years, but it also depends on the state, the benchmark of where they're at in terms of that website compared to their major competitors and compared to the keywords that they want to dominate for, right? Because if someone's been doing SEO for 5 or 10 years and you're just starting today, like a dentist in Toronto, there's thousands of dentists, your brand new site or brand new website, business owner, good luck trying to rank after 1 or 2 years even, right? However, if you then focus on more hyper niche, hyper specific services or something that is more long-tailed, might not have as much traffic, but it could be convertible traffic, right? And that's what's more important. So you look at opportunities to really dominate and stand out, to capitalize on the market, right? And the potential. And that's when SEO strategist or agency can really help you because uncovering these opportunities, there's hundreds and thousands of opportunities daily. It's more about spotting them and then capitalizing on them.
Right. So if you are a business owner and you have no idea how SEO works, how is it important? So here it comes now. How is it important to have a team to work for your success, right? And I know that you also, have a virtual team to help your clients scale. How is it important to have those team to have that?
So understanding what your strengths are and understanding what you bring to the table, right? So if you can bill out at $200-$300 an hour and hire people on the back end for 10, 20, 30 bucks an hour, what would you focus your time and effort on, right?
Absolutely.
And especially if you hate doing certain tasks. Like I'm not strong on social media, and I'll be honest with you on that. And that's why I hire people that are experts at doing that. I'm not strong at writing content, so therefore I have writers on the team. I'm not strong at link building, so I have link builders on the team. So there's tasks that you have to understand and understand yourself on where you want to focus your time, and so that you are not stressed out, burnt out, and allows you to actually focus and embrace the challenges and grow and scale.
I couldn't agree more. This
Yeah.
is what we always tell our clients. Focus on your strength and delegate the rest. So very well said, John. We really appreciate your time.
This has been awesome.
All the things that you shared with us to our audience. I really hope that you guys picked up a bunch of things. You were writing down notes. I was writing down notes, and I hope this will help you scale your business and how to really, where to focus on and how you're gonna do your SEO. And if you don't know how to do this, where can we find you, John?
Yeah, so the website that I own in terms of the agency is www.localseosearch.ca. We're based in Canada, but we service clients all over the world. But we also have a podcast that actually we are more as a giver, right? We want to educate and inform small, medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs like yourself, where we started this 2 years ago as well in terms of the podcast, and it's called Local SEO Today. So you can check it out. If you do want to reach out and ask me any questions, we're here to actually help and answer. So you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm here to support you along this journey.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
John.
Thank you, John. So there you go, guys. And I hope you guys find this helpful. And yeah, we're gonna catch you again on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.